Oh, and here we are. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, it's Val, Dragonfly Crystals, but I'm here on Aley's channel, Heart and Soul
Mhm.
Connected. Here we are for another Akashic Records deep dive into the collective field, and we're going to get some answers about some specific things that we're
Yeah.
dying to know right now. In fact, the first set of questions are about what is most important for us to know right now? I'm just love, love this line of questioning about that
Yeah.
because we're sitting around. This is a huge, momentous time in Earth's history. And look at for the United States as well, but all around the world, things are going on everywhere. And we're scrambling and changing and shifting ourselves, going through a lot of metamorphosis. So I just
Mhm.
love to know what it is that the Akashic Record Masters can help us with.
Sure.
Or to let us know.
Yeah.
So, Aley, thank you for diving in and
Mhm.
answering the questions for us. And by way of the Akashic Record Masters, I just want to say hi to Shining Love, Light, Truth, Barbara Hart, Love, Three Shifting Veils, Rossi's, and Elizabeth Bassett, Boundaries, artist Liz, good to see you,
Hi, Lizzie.
and Maureen D'Amico, good to see you. Three Cats
Three
in
cats in Mexico.
Oh, Three Cats in Mexico. Thank you
Yeah.
for translating
Okay.
that. That is cute.
Sure. Yeah.
And Debbie Brady,
Mhm.
good to see you. Okay, everyone, thanks for joining
Yeah.
us.
Thank you
Good
all
to have
for
you
being
here. And don't forget, you can put things in the chat that we might read on. But remember, it will be in a universal context for all of humanity.
Mhm.
No personal readings are done or dives into the Akashic records. This is about all of us as a collective.
Yeah.
And Jen Bowles, good to see you here. And so just remember, absolutely, you can put things in there, and we may read on it. So go ahead
Yeah.
and do that. And
Please. Mhm.
Aley, are you all prepared?
Yes. Yes. I did my prayer this morning. I talked to my guides and the angels and everybody. So I think I'm ready to come and answer some questions. Ask the
Okay,
Akashic records to come in and help me
excellent.
here. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Mhm.
And so, Akashic Record Masters, what is most important for humanity to understand at this time in our evolution?
Beautiful beings. Beautiful beings. Most of us have turned from um, have turned away from love to fear, and the Akashic Records guides are saying love is the most important, and they are admonishing us to remember that no matter how bad things look, that the plan can change, and there is no reason for us to feel as though whatever happens to us will change um, the trajectory of our own soul contracts. Um, it's important for us to remember to try to hold the light and hold and refrain from moving into the darkness, even when we walk through anxiety or panic.
Oh, that's a beautiful kind of brings us back to the perspective that we have to hold about all of this so we don't lose ourselves in it. And secondly, what truth is ready to be revealed now that humanity can finally begin to hear?
The truth is that separation is an illusion. Many people have discovered that this is the truth, but many more people need to discover this. And once different aspects of themselves are revealed, we will know that we are all beings of light, but also carry shadow, much like our great moon in the sky. We have a light and a dark side. The light can permeate the darkness. The light works in tandem with that. It is time for us to realize that some things have been an illusion and to just move forward from the illusory trajectory, knowing that once we accept the fact that we are not perfect and nor is anyone else, we can then walk more authentically in our own truth.
I love that. Oh wow, that is beautiful.
Mm.
And I love that the realizing we don't have to be perfect. We aren't here to be perfect. We're here to explore and understand everything. So thank you so much, Akashic Record Masters. That's beautiful. And what are we being asked to release as a collective in order to move forward?
We're being asked to release the need to know everything with the balance of also working to know more about our own personal selves, because the microcosm is contained in the macrocosm.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are suffering do affect us. They affect us energetically, they affect us spiritually and mentally. And those who are being subjected to ill health, financial issues, things that are of the earth, not necessarily of spiritual, must understand that all things that are given to them are given with purpose and direction, and yet they also have the free will to reject and or move forward in a different sort of energy if chosen, knowing that they learned their lesson here. Many are learning their lesson that they should not have perhaps believed in things that were illusory, and are moving from that tainted view. It appears to be a tainted view, but this is something that actually is a human concept, and humanity does not always learn the lesson the first time or the 1,000th time.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. That's beautiful. On another subject, uh, Shining Light, Love, Love, Light, Truth is asking, Akashic Record Masters, would you please define O plus blood type? Is this Earth based? Is there any distinction in the many blood types? Although they all come from source, why do we have different types?
The O plus blood type is the universal donor, and they are of Earth as the original planet. The other planets, the other blood types, and even Rh negative, come from other planetary hybrids. And it doesn't mean they're a hybrid this time. It might mean that they're a hybrid back in the DNA line that is carried forward. But interestingly enough, then Earth-based O positive can give to every line because this is the original base for that blood type.
Oh, that's very fascinating. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. And I don't know if you want to answer this, Akashic Record Masters. It's almost a little predictive, but Debbie Brady's asking, as we are well into spring, what do the Akashic Record Masters say about the rest of the year and all the energetic forces dialed up to 9? What do we need to know about that going forward?
In a general sense, we will feel as though we are a tumbleweed along the roadway, moving and bumping and blowing and hitting whatever is in our way. This chaotic energy is meant to stir action, and they're telling me it's to eliminate, and I don't mean it in a deadly way, but it's to eliminate the idea of self as being of the highest vibration, because self is a high vibration. We can all move up in dimension, but moving into the universal self means to be able to work with the other energies of the other selves that we have with us, near us, and so there already has been some medical, and there has been what many have called your ascension flu, moving to the 5th dimension. While this may be painful to some who do not like change, it ultimately will bring solution and revelation to those who go through it, recognizing that it is all what is meant to be in order to make the cohesive unit understand that macrocosm is all. We are all connected on the earth.
That's beautiful, beautiful. Since we're on the ascension symptoms topic, Akashic Record Masters, what are ascension symptoms truly from the perspective of the Akashic Records?
The Akashic Records Masters are saying that some of these symptoms are to flesh out DNA karma, i.e. ancestral collection within the DNA, the fear, the times that the ancestors of people that have inhabited the earth or been born into the earth have been through war, pestilence, starvation, trauma, so forth, so on. And when going through some of these ascension pieces, it's one of the ways that this can be shed for your DNA line, at the same time bringing your vibration higher, because I'm seeing scrub brushes. I'm seeing scrub brushes on DNA pieces, and the scrub brushes are saying, almost done. Hang on. It's always right before we're done. The toughest stains take time. Yeah.
That's totally fascinating. Thank you for that. That's great imagery. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. And Leah Omega 8 is asking, for all of us, how to release what is not working as we move forward. What would be a really productive way of doing that as humanity?
It would be productive to have people working together to release this collective chaotic energy. However, not always possible, but in places, even online or in person, even the gatherings of those who are not happy about the country that they live in or the leaders that rule it, and they come together for specific reasoning, they also are coming together to do this collective release. So you get groups of people that that are more vibrationally higher than the other groups were, let's say, AKA January 6th. And these people are, for the most part, peaceful, calm, and dedicated to what it is that they believe in. And this is the importance right there, i.e. as a channel on YouTube does monthly on heart-centered tarot. And these make a big difference, because whenever two or more come together, there is a shift. You may not feel it initially, but there is a shift.
And that's really interesting, because that's the next question that I have going forward is why are so many people experiencing physical, emotional, mental, and energetic changes right now? Shifts, changes, Akashic Record Masters.
It's due. There's some sort of a blockage. There's some chakra realignment that needs to be done for most people. This isn't something you do once and done. They're suggesting that this is something that should be done daily, that when one awakens in the morning, see that beautiful light come up the chain of the chakras and release itself and dispel itself, and then bring itself back down to ground into the earth. There is resistance. Whenever there's resistance, this creates dis-ease, and this dis-ease creates these symptoms, not being able to release what is interiorly blocking you, whether it be anger, whether it be exhaustion, whether it be repression, or not wanting things to change, wanting things to stay the same. It's like a tea kettle, and the tea kettle boils but eventually blows off, and you must take the tea kettle off the stove or it will burn the bottom. The water will eventually leave the tea kettle and you'll be burning your tea kettle. So they're suggesting that it's important for us to do this. If we can do it as much as we remember to do it, that blows off when aligning those chakras.
That's beautiful, Akashic Record Masters. And that answered 3 shifting veils question, is going through an unusual tiredness part of the ascension, because you covered that right now. It's definitely part of it.
We're holding it. And when depressed, when things push down, when depressed, we are tired. We are tired.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you just gave me the chills. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. That's a beautiful understanding of what's going on. When you suppress things, then you actually are holding it in, like you said, that teapot, and you got to let it all out. So
this entity realizes that she must also follow the dictates of the Akashic Records Masters wisdom.
Exactly. So I love that. And that really takes care of our next question, which is what is happening in the body during periods of spiritual expansion. It really described beautifully what's going on with the teapot idea. And how can people discern the difference between ascension symptoms and the ordinary human stress or imbalance? That's a good question.
It is a good question. We want you to know that in the Eastern cultures, this is less so. The Akashic Records Masters are saying very emphatically that the Western culture has never embraced the idea of balance and how to attain that balance. Western culture, i.e., Europe and United States, Canada, have pushed and pushed. The job was most important. The money was most important. Getting a car was, all the outside extremities are more important than the balance that needs to be made. There are many making changes in that. Currently in this community, we're seeing over 90% of people are beginning to understand the idea that if they don't balance, they will be off kilter. They will not be able to do the things they want. They need, so the need to understand that can come from following dream imagery, sitting down and asking the self questions. What am I doing myself that could be better balanced? What am I doing that could be better for me than watching the news, drinking a lot, taking drugs, whatever it is. And again, that's not everybody.
I love that. That's a beautiful example of taking responsibility and going in and questioning, well, what is my lifestyle like? What am I doing? That alleviates or narrows down what is actually just symptoms that are happening because of the ascension or
Correct.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. That's great clarity. And as a follow-up to the O plus blood type, Shining Love, Light, Truth is asking, Akashic Record Masters, is it safe to say that the reason O plus is earth-based, does this mean it's the original frequency of purest consciousness, original template? Is this why it's recognized by all others?
They're saying it's a little more complicated than that, but that has much truth to it. There is no better planet to live on. There is no better blood type to have. But the pure consciousness of, let's say, the first people who inhabited this planet is embodied in every one of us. And it's just that this particular blood type means originality on this planet as an incarnation, and hundreds of other planets they could have lived on, but this was the first original incarnation of that particular person.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. And Leah Omega 8 is asking, once we get our channel clear, all the chakras and our connection, can we spin both directions, like a Merkaba?
Well, there's the balance again. The balance is necessary. We don't want to spend all time up here in the crown chakra and above. We don't want to spend all the time in the root chakra and below. But we have to be able to balance the two of those things as best we can, even under circumstances that are difficult for us. For instance, a spinal injury may make it even harder for you to have those things available to you. But there is a constant Kundalini energy that runs through all of us, like the snake going up, as it moves. You could visualize it that way. But at the same time, we don't want to move all of our energy from grounding up in here and let it go and just be spending time up here. We have to live somewhere in the middle. And somewhere in the middle, of course, for many of us is our solar plexus. And that's where our intuition and our knowledge and our knowing, where it resides, where we say, oh, I just have a gut feeling.
Yeah.
That's why they gave it to us. Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful. Wow. I love that. Akashic Record Masters. Thank you. And Stardust 315 has a good question. They've all been good. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, yes.
With the innate tendency that humanity has to imagine how things will be, in terms of how things are versus changes and transitions. What
Mhm.
what is best to hold in our minds as we do, as humans do that?
Right. The first word they give me is possibility.
Mm,
Um, they're asking us to remember um, huge purges in time of land, of people, of um, we're talking the Spanish Inquisition. We're talking um, oh, we could go biblical, but I'm not going to do
mhm,
that. But
mhm,
we've had tremendous infliction of injury and changes that occur
mhm.
in the drop of a hat, as we remember from Pearl Harbor, as we remember from 9/11 in the United States and other places. And it's the resolve of the people, because the people come together during these changes and they seem to unify. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear to last a long time, but there is a unification with the recognition that humanity must work together in order to make things, and they don't need to spend time thinking of only self, only money, only their property, only it's a cohesive glue at the time. But what we can hold in our possibility is that the glue will eventually become super glue, and you can't unstick, that
Ooh,
things become tighter, and at
mhm.
least for a majority of the people. There will
Ooh,
always be those lesser groups that will not engage in that really beautiful energy synergy.
I love that. I love that. So, as old memories, fears, and patterns arise during ascension, how can a person support their body and energy field while moving through these ascension symptoms?
Sometimes it is wise to do guided meditations and have someone bring us into that information and help us to release in real time, because time is fluid. Time is not, it's a construct.
Mhm.
So there's always healing that's available to us, no matter when or how we envision something. So allowing something to be overwritten for an experience that, say, perhaps you were burdened by hurt by someone, and that was a very painful thing for you. You can overwrite that by going in and making a different ending, by going in and allowing forgiveness for yourself and others, because most of the time it's ourselves that can't release the anger or the heartache. And if you can allow yourself to do that, even by just visualizing a difference in that entire reaction, or seeing yourself as the other person, this can help move you into this area.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you. And
Mhm.
moving back to what does humanity really need to know right now? Um, what old ways of perceiving reality are no longer serving humanity's awakening?
They told me, he who dies with the most toys win. Um,
I love that.
has to go. It has to go.
Oh,
There has to be something
oh yeah.
disengage. There is a belief, and it is a truism with the Akashic Records masters, that
Yeah.
we only rent or borrow everything that happens to us when we are alive, and that when we die, everything just goes to dust, as we well know, and nothing is ever gained that is won't be lost. And so, if we have that kind of thinking, and we can move from that kind of thinking to the idea that Um, Beauty is best experienced when shared and given freely, then
Wow.
perhaps that can change.
I love that concept of you're just renting it. That's very
It's all a
cute.
rental. That's
It's
right.
all a rental.
It is.
I
Yeah.
love it. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. And what is changing now in the human consciousness field that we need to recognize?
What is changing in the human consciousness field is that more people are becoming conscious. They are admitting that, oh, I thought that, I felt that, I knew that. Profound insights appear to be, because there's been this opening through the consciousness of the 5D dimension, understanding that it's not a place we go, but it's always been accessible. And so what is moving and growing for all of us is that this consciousness will reach a tipping point. And once it reaches a tipping point, then a paradigm is set. It isn't something you can actually understand unless you look back at it, but it's happened over time. And there are more and more people who are turning to the light and finding great relief in that community and in their own personal consciousness journey.
Oh, nice. I love that. I love that. Um, Akashic Record Masters, what is the greatest misunderstanding humanity currently has about its own purpose?
Humanity in general is very greedy, and everything focuses on the self. Many things focus on self. They're not understanding that there's a deep connection. One man said, "No man is an island," and we do isolate and islandize ourselves in some regard as being the most important, the most knowledgeable, the most wonderful person, and with no flaws, no problems. There's an illusion of separation, and this is the biggest problem. This is when you cannot see the hurt or the misery of others who you perceive as your enemy to be something that's not wise to be thinking, because it's only creating more negativity and more hatred.
Oh, I love that. And that kind of leads me into this next question. What does humanity most need to remember about who we really are? It really answers that in a different way.
Yeah. They're playing "Who Are You?" Who. Lyrics of very many of your earthbound songs have examined this idea. And we go along and we sing the lyrics to these songs as mantras in a lot of ways, to ways that we feel. Sometimes we don't even know the words, but we like the melody. And sometimes entrenched in the melody are words that aren't so nice, words that do not serve. And so what we most need to learn is that everything that's around us has been experienced before, and we are re-experiencing it as elevated beings reincarnated on the earth. And when we experience something we've experienced before and knew all about but forgot, is when we get the chills, when we resonate with something, when something sounds profound, or we have an epiphany about something. And these signs that you get should be observed, because they're clearly linked to your experiences here. And we need to wake ourselves up to the fact that there are no events or situations that aren't learning tools.
I love that. And that really is this next question, the crux of it. What is the relationship between the human self and the divine self that we are now being called to embody?
Oh, the Akashic Records masters say amen. Amen. Yes. This is one of the most profound lessons of this time.
Yeah.
Many of you came back here to embody your divine self, not your human self. Human self is ego, and human self is judgmental and focused on all 3D materialism. And the spiritual self has been crying for relief or release, and it's been crying for recognition. And by being a person of higher vibration, this is just something that will occur. We will become more divine in our expression of things, less so monkey mind person, being a person of integrity, making things clear and understanding that these things matter. Your thinking matters, your words matter, which is very difficult because it's hard when you're also living on the earth, but we can balance both of those things.
I love that, because the next question, again, this leads into it. What are we learning as a collective through uncertainty, instability, and change?
What we are learning through the collective is that we all may have differing amounts of change and realignment of purpose and concern over what occurs outside of our self. But knowing that you are aligned with community, knowing that you are aligned with those who may have the same issues as you do, and knowing that you're not alone is vital in this time. Sequestering is fine as long as you find a way to know, oh, that makes me feel better. Not that that person's undergoing something that's difficult, but that I'm not the only one. We don't like feeling alone.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. And Teresa Tea Garden Chicken says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Very true.
Very, very much.
Very true.
Very true. Yes.
So, Akashic Record Masters, thank you for answering that. That was beautiful. And the next question is, how can humanity move from fear-based reaction into deeper wisdom and conscious response?
He's showing me a trigger on a gun, saying, don't.
Yeah.
If something happens, it's very difficult to change old habits, but it can be done. Sit with it for more than a moment, and don't react if possible, especially if, let's say, you get an email that's upsetting or something. Instead of firing back at that particular person, sit back and consider what they're thinking. Consider the fact that you may have read this differently than they intended. And a discussion that was done before this particular session. What is the intention? What is the intention? You may just be caught up in a situation where, somebody was really not trying to make you upset, or that this was a mistake, or this was not done as maliciously. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. What are the Akashic Records asking us to pay attention to right now that we may be overlooking?
The Akashic Records say, not looking at something from fear, but looking at as something more for preparation, for the ability to prepare for something that may or may not happen, but with all manner of intention to not be guided to say much later, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, and more to say, I did my best, I tried my best, and let the chips fall. This would have happened either way, but maybe I'm a little bit more prepared now than I would have been had I not listened to my intuition. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Akashic Record Masters. And what inner capacities are awakening in humanity at this time?
Capacity to be courageous, the capacity to be empathic, understanding, and to show compassion. Some human beings on the planet and human slash divine beings that are in progress. We're always in progress. We were in progress the moment we entered the earth plane. But those types of things are going to be important for us to understand and progress as we move along.
Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. That's beautiful. And how is the heart being asked to lead in this current cycle of transformation?
The heart is the primary organ, and some say where the soul lives. The heart expansion can be done in two ways. One's heart can expand through loving kindness, service, and love of self, compassion, giving. Love can also expand and not do well with anger and refusal to understand, to be divided. And it's the harm to the heart that expands it in a totally different way. So remember that each of our organs and each of our parts of our body are tied to feelings about ourselves and others. And if we continue to show negative feelings towards ourselves or others, this will bring us into dis-ease. And our hearts are really, it's the heartbeat of who we are. And we must have the heart working correctly in order for us to do everything else.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. What role does compassion play in humanity's next stage of evolution?
I'm being shown two things. I'm being shown children, and I'm being shown children who are loving and kind and wise before they're taught not to be. They love each other regardless of skin color, race, age, religion. They love each other because they are simply compassionate and loving beings. So returning to life as return to our childhoods, our child state and the children can teach us. The other less popular or less understood or less seen perhaps is a little monkey in Japan named Punch. And Punch was rejected by his mother. And Punch has a teddy bear that's his mother. And the people of the earth have seen him and his travails, and ultimately his compassion and the compassion of other monkeys that have been stirred from the dismissal by the mother of this beautiful creature. And there is a shift. Some people have that shift with children. They see the shift with children. Others see it with animals. Others see the compassion animals have. And it's not that one or they're both compassionate beings. The children, before they, let's say 7 years old or whatever that drills them into the modern society look. But the animal for the most part is here just to bring love and compassion. And in seeing that touches the lives of so many, but it's finding those meaningful moments in order to remember who you are.
Okay, that's beautiful, Akashic Record Masters. How can we discern truth more clearly in a time of noise, confusion, and competing realities?
It would be easy to say discernment is important without explaining that many people do not understand what discernment is or how it works. and are overwhelmed by the chaotic energies of the current times. Mm-hmm. So I would suggest, or the Akashic Records are saying, we would suggest that working on one thing at a time is going to be beneficial to the souls that are undergoing this. If that means working to release yourself from being outside in public somewhere at a store, or having to ride along the roadways, or having to watch the news, or having to getting rid of social media, staying away from social media, whatever it is, one at a time. Sometimes we think we can tackle all the chaos at once, and that's impossible to do. It's a huge job. But if each of us carries a bit of this job one at a time, we can move that collective into alignment with the idea that we must become more compassionate in this time of chaos.
Beautiful. Okay, Akashic Record Masters. Spiritual maturity, what does it look like for humanity right now? And what are we being invited to heal in our relationship with power?
The first thing they showed me was that there have only been 4 months in this year, and the little baby at the New Year's baby, and then the old man that's at the end of the year, he's already old now. He's worn out. The old man on the, the first of the year that comes in and welcomes this one going away and the new one coming in. The baby is saying, oh my God, hold on. But it reminds us of the picture of Dorian Gray. It's all an illusion. It is somebody that is presenting, and it could be anybody of power, presenting themselves as a picture of something beautiful, something worthy, something to be adored, something to be esteemed. But in the attic, there's a picture of a deteriorating person. Mm-hmm. And they're getting all the warts, they're getting all the blood, they're getting all the plague, they're getting aged, and they look disgusting. It's all an illusion. Power is an illusion. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And, Aley has ancestral class, lineage class, or I don't know exactly what the title. Healing. And it's going to come up, and it's going to come up again. You're going to have to look for on her website. But this question directly relates to that. What karmic or ancestral patterns are rising now to be completed? And by the way, everyone, I've heard so many people had transformations from that class. You're all going to want to go, oh my God, I need to get in there.
It was a beautiful class. What we don't understand is that we carry within us the trauma, the DNA. In our DNA, we carry the trauma and the good and bad experiences of all of our ancestors in the physical plane. So you are, if you go back in the lineage, you've got probably tens of thousands of ancestors in that lineage. Mm-hmm. We work hard to try to clear out some of the most recent ones, the ones that you can identify as well, because it helps you understand the karmic pattern or the ancestral DNA pattern. And so working with those energies, again, that scrub brush idea is understanding that this person may have carried this very thing, and you can go back and work with that person in order to heal some of the things that you experienced with them, and or that have come to you from that DNA line, mm-hmm. in order to move forward and know that you have clarity, and it's not something once and done. This is the problem that many people believe when they come to your earthbound psychics or earthbound spiritual advisors. It's not a quick fix. It's not an aspirin or a Tylenol for the problem to take the headache away, but mm-hmm. it is an awareness. It is an understanding. And it is a clarification of something, even in the very smallest of times or smallest of places, that will bring you some clarity and move you forward into your own space in order to heal your own DNA issues.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And Erin Marie is asking a question that I think you answered, Akashic Record Masters, in a way. It's about the compassion, and you mentioned the monkey in the zoo or gorilla in the zoo that was not accepted by the mother, and it brought so much compassion into people's hearts. The question Erin Marie has is, how can humanity best learn to open our hearts in a world that has taught us not to trust anyone? And I think that your example, Akashic Record Masters, of looking at animals and seeing how everyone's heart opened to that beautiful little furry being who lost their mother, and they had to have a surrogate little teddy bear or whatever it was. The heartstrings of everyone. What it happens, it opens your heart up, right? Akashic Record.
It does. There is something very special about watching children and animals, and children will share with another child something. Usually they do not recognize color. They do not recognize deformity, let's say, except as a curiosity. And they ask the question without malice and with just understanding in mind. We don't say to them, you can't ask that question, because it comes from innocence. So it's a return to innocence in many cases. And it has to start individually, and it has to be many individuals in order for this shift to be made. And so, yes, the trust right now is very, very difficult. But we have seen over time that there are people who have been annihilated by other groups, treated poorly, and have forgiven without the idea of forgetting. Forgetting is important to remember. We may not forget what hurts we have, but the forgiveness is for ourselves when we're holding the anger, or we're holding the rage, or we're holding the sadness. Then we are bringing that back to others in that it doesn't serve us. It is like the teapot. It's stuck. You got to get it to blow off in order to blow off that steam, so to speak. It is difficult. Akashic Records say it's not easy, and yet it can be done. That's what they're saying.
Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. And this is a good question. What is the Akashic perspective on the fragmentation humanity has experienced, and how does wholeness return? I think they're speaking on a social level.
Fragmentation has occurred the most, and this is not a religious idea, but the 7 deadly sins comes to mind. It's done by abuse. It's done by abuse of self. It's done by over medication. It's done by addictions. It's done by not allowing oneself to see their own shadow side and move away from that shadow side, or not truly being in the self. It's very difficult for the fragmentation to come together. There is a thought of soul retrieval that has been out, and you may have heard other psychics talk about holes in the soul that need mending. And a lot of this has to do with personal fragmentation, perhaps of, by drugs or by alcoholism, or by just not treating thyself as a vessel, as a spiritual vessel. For we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And we must remember that spiritual is more important than anything human.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that answer. And how can people participate more consciously in the healing of the collective field?
One light worker carries the light for 200,000 people, I believe, something like that. So if you are placed in an area that is very dark or dismal, you may be even in a smaller town, like of 30,000 people. If you are there, you are the light for those people by virtue of the fact that you are encompassing that light and holding it for those people. There are points of light all over the place. And sometimes we are relocated to take over a point of light and to actually be more than one person serving those people, because that would be faster. That would be faster elevation. But make no mistake, whatever it is that you are holding that light for, you may not recognize it. You may not see it in your personal view, but it is doing the work. And they're suggesting that we just send our light out to them as a beacon. Even they're showing me one of those lights you wear on your head, like if you were going spelunking in a cave. And they're saying, you can't see everything around you, but you can see a few things that are directly in that light. And so sometimes if you need a reminder, just ask your guides and angels to show you, am I making a difference here? And you will be surprised. Once you're open to that, your message will go out and you will get your answer.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And here's the last question. What does true sovereignty mean for humanity at this time?
That's beautiful. Well, it's not Queen Victoria, but they're showing her on the crown, sitting on the. She's old school and she's sitting on the throne. We have a different name for a throne here. So they're being funny now. They're saying, "Oh, this was so enjoyable." True sovereignty is something that we all must encompass in ourselves. We are the decider. We are the ones that make our own decisions. We are the ones that can be open to change, the ones that can embody the light, the ones that can make the difference, even by just holding the light. But once that occurs, again, everybody's got it. Malcolm Gladwell has a book called The Tipping Point. It was out a number of years ago. And he talks about how 1, 2, 30, 60, exponential. And then boom, tips over. Everybody knows it. Everybody does it. If we could do this with sovereignty of ourselves, with our compassion and understanding, and the belief that we are all connected, our own sovereignty would benefit, as would the collective. And the collective has refused the call. We could be looking at a new call that has been put out there for us to all stand in our own power and know that we are not alone. We stand beside our ancestors, our angels, our guides, and each other, and we will not fail.
Oh, I love that. Wow. That's wonderful. Wonderful to hear. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. Well, that's a lift to end on. And I want to say hi to Annie's Gifts and Diana Oil Painter. She missed most of it because she was at PT. And, and so did Annie's Gifts. So, that's why we have replay. But, it's great when you're in the chat. We love you guys so much. And thanks for joining us today and your beautiful questions. We did take a sampling of some of them, and the Akashic Record Masters read on them, but we always have prepared questions that are, in general, they're universal, that we all need to know. So just want to say thank you. Oh,
Thank
I
you
am.
all. And please
Yeah.
wrap yourself around some of the Iranians' energy today. They need us so desperately.
Yeah, definitely. And oh, yeah, Diana's saying, ladies, what I caught was great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Diana. And with
Thank you,
that,
Al.
we're gonna thank you, Aley, for accessing the Akashic Record Masters and giving us the great answers. It isn't easy. It takes a lot of energy to connect and stay with it for like an hour. Not like an hour.
They were laughing. They were tired.
Yeah, I'm sure they were. We gave them a workout. So we'll see you next time in a couple of weeks. It'll be on my channel. So yeah, and Aley will be reading the questions to me and I'll be accessing. But thank you all very much. Like and subscribe. Go to Heart and Soul Connected online and sign up for classes, book a reading, anything that you want to do to gift yourself with something wonderful today to continue this process of spiritual
And Val's Dragonfly
awareness.
Crystals, she has lots of wonderful classes.
Well, I don't have any up right now, but I'm going to.
Okay.
I'm going to put them up today or tomorrow because people are asking. So thank you all very much, and we'll see you next time. Love you guys. Bye, everyone.